Ammara and Oke spent the evening with family and friends. As the engagement day drew to a close, Ammara was exhausted from the celebration and all her friends danced and rejoiced all through the evening. Ammara and Oke dressed up for the brief evening party and later each retired to proceed to prepare for their return to their various activities and to begin to plan the much-expected wedding. As the joyful echoes of the engagement reverberated, fate took an unforeseen and tragic turn. The news got to Ammara as she prepared to return to work that, on the journey back to their destination, Oke's family encountered a devastating accident. The once vibrant promise of a shared future was shattered as Oke, the promised suitor, passed away in the tragic turn of events. Everyone was devastated as the news reached Ammara and her family as all celebrations up. The news of Oke's untimely demise sent shock waves through both families, casting a somber shadow over the once jubilant preparations. Ammara was devastated. She had envisioned a life of happiness with Oke, her suitor. She had fallen deeply in love with Oke and could not believe what she was hearing. She found herself grappling with the unfathomable news of the loss. The dreams of a future together, once vivid and promising, now faded into a painful reality of grief and heartache. The days that followed were veiled in sorrow as both families mourned the loss of a life extinguished too soon. The carefully laid plans for the upcoming wedding transformed into arrangements for a solemn farewell. Oke's family could not fathom the incident that had followed the recent celebration. Pain, heartache, tears, and sorrow plagued both families as they came to grips with the happenings. Ammara, once adorned in the glow of celebration, now navigated the somber corridors of mourning. The dreams that had filled her nights with joy now seemed distant, overshadowed by the stark reality of loss. The once bustling preparations for a joyous union transformed into poignant orchestration of a farewell, a stark reminder of the fragile nature of life's twists and turns. As the community gathered to pay their last respects, the echoes of laughter from the recent engagement were replaced by the solemn tones of grief. The grandeur that had surrounded the celebration now yielded to the quiet reflection on the transient nature of life. Amidst sorrow and reflection, Ammara found herself grappling with the complexities of grief and the poignant contrast between the promise of a shared future and the stark reality of an unexpected farewell. The love that had blossomed in the midst of jubilation now transformed into the enduring memory of a life that had touched hers briefly but profoundly. The once bright future never looked so bleak for Ammara as she pondered on her dream from the day before the engagement. Oh, how fragile life was! This pain was too great. Ammara's mother, overcome with grief and a determination to understand the tragic turn of events, embarked on a mission of deep research. She summoned Ammara, her eyes still teary from the loss of Oke, and sought answers to the mysterious circumstance surrounding her daughter's fate. With a heart heavy with sorrow, Ammara's mother delved into a conversation with her daughter, probing for any unusual occurrences leading to the engagement. As they sifted through memories, Ammara hesitated before recalling the recurring dream that had visited her the night before the joyous occasion. In a trembling voice, Ammara described the vivid dreams that featured a man, her envisioned partner in those ethereal weddings that danced in her sleep. The dreams had been a constant presence, filled with joy and anticipation, yet the night before the engagement, a discordant note had intruded, an unsettling fight between Ammara and the mysterious person. Ammara's mother, upon hearing the revelation, gasped in shock and asked Ammara why she did not tell her before the engagement. She screamed with a mixture of concern and urgency in her voice. Without wasting a moment, she rushed Ammara with her cousin to the comforting walls of the church, seeking guidance from the pastor who had been a pillar of support in their lives. In the sacred space of the church, Ammara's mother poured out the details of her daughter's dreams to the pastor, her voice echoing with a sense of urgency and desperation. The pastor, discerning the gravity of the situation, listened attentively. As Ammara recounted the dreams, the pastor's expression grew thoughtful. He recognized the significance of the recurring visions, understanding that dreams could sometimes be a portal to deeper truths, a realm where the threads of destiny intertwine with the subconscious. The pastor offered prayers and sought divine guidance to unravel the mystery hidden within Ammara's dreams. The air was thick with solemnity as the weight of grief and uncertainty hung over the gathering. In the quiet aftermath of prayer, the pastor spoke with a calm reassurance about treading carefully in the realm of dreams. The gravity of the situation made him recognize the seriousness of the dream and its significance. The pastor identified that the journey to unraveling Ammara's dream had just begun, a delicate exploration that would navigate the delicate intersection of the ethereal and the tangible. The church, a sanctuary of solace and wisdom, stood as a beacon of hope in the face of this unexpected tragedy. Ammara's mother, determined to seek answers from every possible avenue, heeded the advice of her family chief and sought the counsel of the high priest of the village. With a heavy heart, she laid bare the intricate details of Ammara's life and the unexpected tragedy that had befallen Oke's family. The high priest, a figure steeped in tradition and ancient wisdom, listened attentively and requested time to delve into the situation through the lens of their village customs. Upon the high priest's request, Ammara's mother patiently waited for his findings, clinging to the hope that traditional insights might shed light on the mysteries surrounding her daughter's life and the recurring dreams that had now taken a tragic turn. Ammara, however, grew angry when she learned about her mother's actions. She felt a sense of intrusion into her personal beliefs and choices, particularly when the high priest was involved. In defiance, she turned to the counsel of her pastor, who recommended a path of spiritual introspection. Following the pastor's guidance, Ammara embarked on a journey of fasting and prayer, seeking solace and understanding in the sanctuary of her faith. The pastor also recommended baptism, a symbolic act of cleansing and rebirth. Ammara, uncertain of her past religious practices, embraced the opportunity to reaffirm her commitment to her faith. As Ammara immersed herself in the spiritual disciplines of fasting and prayer and baptism, time unfolded in a medley of traditions and beliefs. The village high priest, after thorough exploration, revealed a startling revelation to Ammara's family. He unveiled an ancestral worship tied to a deity named Esunji, explaining that Ammara's forebears had dedicated all firstborn daughters to this deity. To secure a marriage, a ritual must be performed. The revelation sent ripples through Ammara's mother's world. What was she hearing? At what point had this happened? Who and what did this dedication? This news unveiled a chapter of Ammara's lineage veiled in ancient customs and rituals. The weight of tradition interwoven with Ammara's unknown history. The news left Ammara torn between the teachings of her pastor and the deep-seated traditions of her ancestors. The village high priest's son summoned Ammara and proposed a ritual to fulfill the ancestral commitment, adding an additional layer of complexity to Ammara's already intricate journey. Ammara reasoned that, with all her westernized education, her exposure, her achievements, this is what her situation had brought upon her. As the revelations echoed through the village, the contrasting forces of tradition and contemporary faith converged, setting the stage for a delicate dance between the past and the present. Ammara, guided by the counsel of her pastor and dictates of tradition, found herself at a crossroads, grappling with the spiritual currents that shaped the destiny she was now called to navigate. The unfolding chapters of Ammara's story carried the weight of both tradition and faith, awaiting the resolution that would determine the course of her life. As the revelation of the ancestral dedication cast its shadows over Ammara's life, a deep division emerged between her and her mother. The clash between tradition and contemporary faith fueled heated arguments, each grappling with the weight of their beliefs. Ammara found herself caught in the crossfire, torn between the spiritual guidance of her pastors and the ancestral customs that held her lineage in a tight embrace. The impact on Ammara was profound. The internal strife reverberated through every aspect of her life, creating a whirlwind of confusion and fear. She struggled to concentrate at work, and the prospect of relationships became shrouded in a veil of uncertainty and apprehension. Sleep, once a refuge, eluded her as fear took residence in the silent hours of the night. Desperate for a solution that resonated with her faith, Ammara clung to the teachings of her pastor. She fasted and prayed fervently, and sought guidance wherever possible. The spiritual disciplines, though undertaken with unwavering commitment, left her physically and emotionally drained. The burden of the situation weighed heavily on her, and the once vibrant Ammara began to show signs of exhaustion and weariness. The turmoil in Ammara's life did not go unnoticed by potential suitors. Word of her complex situation spread, causing them to keep a cautious distance, fearful of the unknown and the weight of ancestral expectations. Suitors hesitated to approach a woman whose life seemed entangled in a web of conflicting forces. Ammara, yearning for respite from the relentless struggle, leaned on the support of her pastor and the sanctuary of her faith. The exhaustion, both mental and emotional, became a silent companion in her daily life. The once hopeful dreams of love and marriage now seemed overshadowed by complexities that dictated her destiny. Despite the challenges, Ammara pressed on, holding steadfast to her beliefs and seeking solace in her faith. The journey was arduous, but her determination to find a resolution persisted. Ammara, resolute in her commitment to seek divine intervention, found solace in the nightly sanctuary of prayer. Each midnight, she arose, pouring out her heart in fervent supplication to her God. She wept in prayer and pain. As she delved deeper into her spiritual journey, her steadfast determination caught the attention of those around her. In the midst of the pressure and the struggles, deliverance arrived in an unexpected form. It was a person. One day, in the sanctuary of the church, Ammara crossed the path of the pastor's son, who was a member of the church and very committed in his faith. Moved by the sincerity and depth of Ammara's search for God, expressed genuine concern. They sat together engaging in heartfelt discussions about Ammara's trials and tribulations. The pastor's son, having observed the stranger fervently praying at the altar, inquired from his father the situation Ammara was facing. Empathizing with Ammara's struggle, the pastor's son resolved to stand by her side. He offered not only friendship but a shared commitment to fasting and prayer. As they embarked on this spiritual journey together, a profound bond blossomed between them. In the quiet moments of fasting and prayer, Ammara and the pastor's son found a common ground. Their shared pursuit of God's guidance forged a connection that surpassed the challenges and uncertainties that had defined Ammara's recent experiences. As they sought deliverance together, a deep and meaningful friendship sprouted, rooted in their shared faith and commitment to overcoming the spiritual obstacles that loomed over Ammara's life. The newfound companionship became a source of strength and support for Ammara. The pastor's son, with his understanding heart and shared commitment to faith, provided a refuge in the midst of the storm. The nightly prayers, once a solitary endeavor, now became a shared communion, fostering a connection that transcended the complexities of Ammara's past. As Ammara and the pastor's son navigated the spiritual landscape together, the seed of friendship grew into a testament of resilience and faith. The story of Ammara, once marked by division and internal strife, now unfolded in the dawning light of a companionship that carried the promise of a shared journey towards redemption and deliverance. Ammara's journey, marked by trials and spiritual struggles, took a transformative turn when a dream revealed the symbolic act of relinquishing her wedding veil and ring. Okochi, a supportive friend who had been with Ammara through thick and thin, witnessed her at the altar, immersed in a profound encounter. Upon hearing Ammara's dream, the pastor, recognizing the significance of the symbolic act in the dream, recommended a series of spiritual rituals to solidify Ammara's dedication. This was suggested as steps towards breaking free from the spiritual entanglements that had held Ammara captive. Ammara, filled with newfound joy and hope, embraced the pastor's recommendations. The act of faith became a tangible expression of her commitment to her faith and the journey towards freedom from the weight of tradition. The sacred act of baptism, the communion shared with fellow believers, and the formal dedication at the altar symbolized Ammara's renewed connection with her God. In the midst of this transformative journey, the friendship between Ammara and Okochi blossomed into a deeper relationship. Ammara had taken her time after the so many months that had passed to mourn the loss of her dear Oke. Oke's family had for a long time mourned their beloved son and brother, but believed in God's purpose and will. The time had helped Ammara build a relationship with Okochi that had blossomed into a deeper friendship. Signs of romantic connections began to emerge. Okochi, unwavering in his support, stood by Ammara's side as they faced and overcame the challenges together. Love had grown between both Ammara and Okochi. Their shared commitment to overcoming the hold of tradition on Ammara's life brought them even closer, and their relationship grew very strong. As Ammara and Okochi performed the baptism and took communion together, their connection deepened. The pastor, who had become a guiding figure in Ammara's life, grew to love her like a daughter. Witnessing the strength and resilience of their relationship, he became a steadfast supporter, often suggesting the possibility of marriage to both Ammara and Okochi. It was good to know the pastor endorsed their friendship. The once divided and troubled life of Ammara had transformed into a narrative of triumph and redemption, and both Ammara and Okochi remained steadfast in prayer with unwavering faith. Ammara's mother, on the other hand, was determined to free her daughter of the ancestral entanglements. She continued to seek the guidance of the village high priest. Under the influence of the village chief, she decided to pay the high priest to perform the ritual that was believed to break the hold of tradition on Ammara. On the appointed day of the ritual, the high priest entered his chamber to commence the rites. Ammara's mother heard a loud shriek coming from inside of the hut. The high priest beckoned her to leave immediately with fierce anger in his eyes. He had had an unusual encounter in his chamber. Ammara's mother, overcome with fear and uncertainty, tried to inquire about the next course of action but was met with great hostility. The high priest gestured to Ammara's mother to leave the village and never return to his shrine. Coincidentally, this was the same night Ammara was being baptized in the sanctuary. This was the same night the veil and ring were returned to her in her dream. Ammara, unbeknownst to the event at the village altar, on the consent of her pastor, quietly and carefully proceeded to perform a registry marriage with Okochi. The union went smoothly without any hitches, solidifying their commitment to each other in the eyes of the law. Ammara kept this to herself for months without telling her family or friends, and both herself and Okochi continued prayerfully at the altar. Ammara told her mother about her marriage 6 months later. Her mother, though shocked, was happy for Ammara as she had chosen a kind-hearted man to be her husband. She appreciated his support and wished them well. All the suggestions to partake in a lavish wedding was turned down by Ammara, but a quiet family marriage was celebrated low-key. About 2 years later, Ammara and Okochi welcomed the arrival of their twin boy and girl. The once troubled journey of Ammara, fraught with spiritual battles and familial conflict, had evolved into a narrative of love, triumph, and the joy of new beginnings. The birth of the twins became a symbol of the blessings that had graced Ammara and Okochi's union, a tangible testament to the power of love in the overcoming of challenges that once clouded her path. The story of Ammara has become a ray of hope to other women in the world shackled under the yoke of traditions they know nothing about. The end.